Thanks for joining me.
Krish, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so just want to dive deeper into your journey with your project and learn more about exactly what you're working on. So, do you want to kick things off and tell us exactly what your project is?
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. So I'm working on this project, Dope Millionaire Visionaries. And I think it's pretty much like the culmination of all my life experience. When I was growing up, I used to sell CDs, right? I used to I started a newspaper in my high school and I interned for like a bunch of like entertainment companies and whatnot. And I had like a performance troupe in college and sold radio ads. And then, like I started getting into like the tech world after school, right? So I worked at like really big tech companies and now like really hyper growth, fast companies. So it's pretty much a way for me to combine like my collective experience together. So like that music creative side with like kind of this tech stuff. And I think it's just the perfect timing with like all this Web3 like creator stuff, to like really experiment and like, yeah, make something special. So it's kind of like a prototype really for Web3 music artists and like hip hop artists specifically, kind of this, community world and like, yeah, mission that we're, like driving towards. So.
Cool. So, can you tell us more about the community itself? What exactly do the members of the community do?
Yeah, exactly. So the project itself and the community, right? One thing I was really interested in is like just music itself, right? Because I mean, the distribution of music has changed a lot in the past 60 years, like from vinyl to streaming, but the format itself hasn't changed, right? So I was really interested in that, right? Like the album is a format that was created in the 60s too, right? And that's still like the premier way that artists like will present their music, right? We had like the music video, that was a big thing with like MTV and whatnot, but maybe recently with like Don FM, people are experimenting with that. So with like the weekend, but yeah, I was really interested in that, right? Like creating like immersive worlds around music. And so this is like my prototype for that. So it's an episodic visual album, like hip hop drives the story forward. And the audience is like venture capitalists and founders, right? And it's about this venture capitalist. He has like an existential crisis and he starts investing in like underrepresented founders. And I get like real verses and beats from like real founders and VCs, right? So that's pretty much like the content and the project itself. And the project itself is tied to like the $7 million NFT portfolio, right? And pretty much the goal is to sell out that portfolio, and that's going to be our venture fund, right? So we're kind of reinventing the venture fund, right? As opposed to like a venture capitalist deciding, hey, what is the next Facebook or what is this, what is that, what's valuable, what's not, alongside that, that's where you come in with like the social coin, right? It's like giving this social coin out and it's like, what if the people can decide, right? Like who gets funding, right? Because I do feel like funding, that whole process is very inefficient today, right? People do like 500 pitches. Like you ask any founder at the end of like their early stage fundraise, like, it's not really that fun of a time. I think it takes a lot from the business. The time sucks. So, just trying to make that more efficient, right? And experimenting, right? Like what if founders that have the coin can get fast tracked, right? So all the VCs already in this community, right? So that's pretty much the experiment that we're working on. And I think that Web3 artists really have the potential to be the most influential artists like in all of human history, right? I think if you can get the incentivization piece right, and you can have really a great mission and great content, around that, and you combine those three things together, I think you can have really like a lasting impact, right? So that's the experiment now, and like if we can get this right, then I feel like then it's just replicating it from there, right? And like kind of creating that centralized process, structure for people to.
For sure. So, can you give a brief overview of how the logistics work? So, to gain entry into the community, someone has to purchase your NFT or your coins. How exactly does that work?
Well, right now the main litmus, or I guess not litmus, but the gate into the community is you have to collaborate creatively, right? So like that's the main like test right now, even before like the coin and whatnot. I mean, everybody that collaborate creatively so far, like all the VCs founders, they're gonna get a coin, but that's like really a departed part of it too, right? Because you know, like first and foremost. But yeah, the coin is another way too, right? So like, but also it's like what do we get in exchange for the coin, right? Like is it helping with marketing, right, into like the global tech ecosystem? Does it help with fundraising, right? So yeah, there's going to be like kind of a bounty as a part of the coin, and that part's still being worked out. You know, I think it's still, you know, pretty early in terms of launching it and whatnot, but yeah, creative collaboration, and then also like, yeah, bounty services, right? Like,
yeah,
value.
So what I'm understanding is you're using the NFTs as a way to almost raise funds that you can later invest into other startups.
Exactly. So, yep, we call
And
it the Black Unicorn Venture Fund, right? So
nice.
kind of and you know, it goes with that theme of kind of the, you know, investing in underrepresented founders, right? I feel like most tech companies, right, really fast growing platforms, like they only really benefit the top 1%, right? Like you're targeting the enterprise, right? People are thinking, how do I sell to the Fortune 500 or whatever, right? But I feel like if we could flip that on its head, right, and like benefit more people all around the world, then and have the people decide, I think that would be an interesting you know, model.
For sure. Yeah, that's a great vision. And so when people purchase these NFTs, you're going to reward them with tokens or the social coins that they then use to vote on what projects to fund. Is that it?
Right. I think that the NFTs itself, like those are, because these aren't your typical NFT. It's not your typical NFT project, right? As opposed to having like kind of like 5,000 coins or whatever, or excuse me, NFTs. You know, there's only like 45 now, right? So it's almost like an LP like type of investment I see with like the NFTs, right? So it's like kind of a new age LP, right? It's like, so, you know, they're part of the process as well. Like they're overseeing it, and yeah, they get additional access as well, right? They get like, you know, obviously their vote's going to matter more, but, you know, really it's not about like this fund. It's not really about, and it ties in with the story, you know, the story of this episode, you know, visual album, because that's really like the manifesto. But you know, it's also them, you know, like it's as opposed to with them wanting to return their portfolio, which is like the goal of like a venture fund, right? They want a 50 exit, right? This is more about like, hey, like what's going to have the most impact, right? What's going to drive like the most change, right? Like, let's not even think about the money for a second here. You know, let's think about, you know, impact, right? Solving all the different issues across the world.
That's great. Can you share how Starpad has helped you on this journey?
Yeah, so Starpad's really great in terms of, I think the ease of creating a coin, right? Like I've been trying to create a coin. Like I had some other resources in on deck, right? And, you know, like it's kind of weird. It's like a weird interface, right? You're kind of like going on and, you know, just not the best, right? Like even if you create the coin, like you don't know if it's gone through like the transactions, right? But I think that Starpad, I think the onboarding is really great, right? I think that, you know, it just makes it really easy, right? In terms of just being able to have a coin quickly, and without having to create like this huge liquidity pool, right? So that's great too, right? You don't have to worry about, you know, that, right? You can kind of get up and running with like at a very low cost and very quickly as well, right? So I don't know how else we would have done it without Starpad, right? I mean, I've heard that there's other coins out there, right? And like exchanges like Coinvise and, you know, but I think that, you know, made that process much quicker, at least for me.
What advice for people that are looking to build projects like yours? What is one thing they should keep in mind?
I always say just have fun with it, you know, like at the end of the day, like, you know, I think that's like, this is really what I want to do. Like, this is really what's fun to me, you know? So I say, let that guide you, you know, because I don't think you can lose as long as you're having fun and having a good time, right? Like, so I keep that, you know, like first and foremost, right? Like, you know, so whatever that means to you, right? And whatever you're passionate about, you know, obviously I've been in these spaces, tech and whatnot, and yeah, like, you know, diversity, equity, you know, inclusion, these things are really important to me. So yeah, I just let that guide me, and it's evolved over time, right? Like it's gonna change, you know, it's changed a lot from what it was like a couple months ago with all this Web3 stuff. So So yeah, I say also, you know, yeah, go with the flow, you know, go with the flow and
Yeah,
do things that you think are fun and interesting.
great. And finally, what does the future look like for Dope Millionaire Visionaries? Like 2 years down the road, are you in the metaverse? You have your own land?
You know, I did experiment with that free virtual land, you know, and I did have like, I still have up like an NFT gallery in Decentraland. So, you know, I think that a couple of things. I think that we're synergistic in terms of the problems that we want to solve, right? So like, as I continue to develop this project and the coin is out, the DAO is more complex, we have more engagement, we're going to run into more problems, right? It's like, you know, who knows what those problems will be? Maybe it's going to be engagement. Maybe it's creating the bounties, whatever, right? So I aspire to solve those problems and kind of like, you know, like pioneer, right? Make it easier for the next like hip hop artists, whatever that are come after. And like, they want it, like getting a virtual land, renting the land from somebody, that was a pain. You know, so it's like, what if we had like a virtual land, like rental platform, right? Make it easy. You can just rent it. It's like things like that. Like, and that's my background, software, right? So how can we solve it with software? So that's number one, like solving the problems, making it easier as we go. And then also I think, you know, just the impact, right? So like I got into UCLA with the consortium fellowship for,
Nice.
you know, the end of this year, right? So my plan is like, yeah, man. My plan is to like, you know, keep going, like how much traction can we get before, but I'm definitely going to go into the school and like, you know, level up, right? And like try to, you know, leverage the network and, you know, just make, so, cause the way I see it, this is kind of like season one of this, right? Like, so it's, and so it's like kind of like fund one, right? But then we're going to have a season 2, season 3. I imagine the fund's getting bigger, more impact, right? And like, and yeah, like really like shifting the way that companies are funded, right? And how also, yeah, media, what media looks like how influential it can be, right? Like, I do believe in the power of words. I believe in the power of music. And I think that if you can align that, and I think Web3 is a great opportunity to really make an impact, right? With the incentivization, with the power of the message, the content, and also the, you know, the immersive experience with these, you know, world building tools.
Nice. Well, I wish you all success, man. I think the next few months and hopefully the next few years are going to be great for your community.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And yeah, man, we got to get a verse from you. We got to give it a beat, man.
All right. I'll stop that.